Today I'm going to show you how to make this pretty soap saver. It's made out of 100% cotton yarn. It works up pretty fast once you get the hang of it. It's got a nice thick cord chain, and then I just add a little bit to the end to secure the cord together. It does cinch and then separate. What you need to make this is some cotton yarn, needles, a couple stitch markers, pair of scissors, and a 5mm hook. This yarn does call for a 5.5 hook, but I use a 5. So I'm going to start out with a significant yarn tail before I make my slip knot. And that's because I'm going to do a chain, but I'm going to weave in my end at the same time. So go ahead and get your hook on there. And then take your working yarn and wrap it around your finger like 3 times to hold the tension. So you don't want to cut off the blood supply though. And then take your yarn tail, wrap it around your hook. The first one's always kind of tricky, just to make sure you get through both loops, and go ahead and pull through. You can pull this a little tighter if you want, but you don't want it too tight because you're going to need this to single crochet through. So I'm going to go ahead and put a stitch marker in between the loop we made and the chain we made. And go ahead and helps if I don't get my yarn caught in the stitch marker, right? Go ahead and get your yarn back on your finger, and we're going to do the next one. So this is 2. We're going to do 16 total. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So now your yarn tail is woven in. You don't have to worry about it. I probably didn't need that much yarn, but at least now you don't have to worry about weaving it in later, or you can weave it in a little bit more and make it super secure. So what we want to do is we want 15 single crochets down this chain. So we're going to skip the first stitch, which is here, and we're going to go into the top of the chain. Helps, you want to get both. Sometimes it's kind of cockeyed. You want to get both loops on your hook. I'm not having very good luck here. There we go. So from the second, we're going to do 15 single crochets. So 1. And I'm going to mark this one with a stitch marker also. 2. You can see where to go. See the gaps. 3. 4. Get some more yarn here. Now, if you don't want to do the chain like I did, you can just do a regular chain. I do recommend going in the back hump because you're gonna work in the round, so you're gonna flip your work around and work back into the same chain, and it just makes it easier to see what you're doing. Working single crochets down the chain. And here's our very last stitch. We want to just go in. And now we have 15 single crochets. So now we're going to turn our work and we're going to do 15 single crochets back down the opposite side. So if you want to, you can count. It's going to be the same stitch that our stitch marker is in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is our last one. You don't want to crochet into this stitch because that was your turning chain. So let's go ahead and single crochet down, and if it helps, you can mark that turning chain just so you know not to go into it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The 15th one is going to be tricky to get into. Just gotta find the gap and get your hook in there. There we go. It's usually harder to get into than that. All right, so now we have 30 single crochets. We have 15 on the first part and then 15 coming back. So what we're going to do is get rid of this stitch marker for now. We are going to slip stitch to the very first single crochet that we made, which is where I had my pink stitch marker. So go ahead and slip stitch in there. Okay, so now we're going to chain 2. And we are going to double crochet, yarn over, double crochet into the same stitch, chain 1, insert your hook into the stitch and draw up a loop. So you should have 2 loops on your hook. So now what we're going to do is we're working in this stitch here. We're going to skip this next stitch and we're going to double crochet into this following stitch. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, pull through 2, and you see you have 3 loops on your hook. Go ahead and pull through all 3. It's going to create a chain 1 space. You're going to chain 1, insert your hook, draw up a loop, and you're going to repeat that all the way around. So yarn over, skip this stitch and go into the next, double crochet and pull through all three loops, chain 1, insert into the same stitch, drop a loop, yarn over, skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, double crochet, go through all 3 loops, chain 1, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn up or pull up a loop, yarn over, skip the next stitch, go into the following stitch, and double crochet, chain 1. So that gives you little clusters. So in all, we're going to have 15 clusters all the way around, which is comprised of really 30 double crochets because we have 15 stitches each. Every other stitch should have a cluster into it. So go ahead and follow that all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end and I'll show you what to do. All right, so we've made it to the end, and you are going to complete that stitch like you're going to move on and do another double crochet. So let me undo this. I completed my double crochet into this stitch. I chained 1, and now I'm going to insert and drop a loop, so I have 2 loops on my hook, and we need to slip stitch into the first double crochet, which is right here. So you have your chain 2 from the beginning of the row, and then you have your top of your double crochet. Go ahead and pull through all the loops. So now you should have 15 clusters. They're kind of hard to see in the very beginning, so I recommend really counting, not just winging it, because you'll end up with extra, especially on this side, if you don't do exactly 15. So I want you to keep in mind that where we slip stitched, there's a gap right here. That is our 15th point that we're going to use for our next cluster. And we're going to mark this at the end of every single row, because if you don't, you'll miss it, or you'll do an extra. Like, believe me, I've done it all. I've ended up with like 17 or 18 clusters because I wasn't paying attention. So you definitely want to make sure that you mark this where you initially slip stitch, because there's going to be 2 slipped stitches at the beginning of every row, or 1 at the end and 1 at the beginning. So mark that with a stitch marker. If you're confident you don't need to, don't, but I recommend it. So now what we want to do is we want to make clusters in every chain 1 space that we've created. So the next cluster needs to go here, not where my slip stitch is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that space and I'm going to slip stitch. And that just moves me forward into another stitch. So then I'm going to start the row out with a chain 2, and then I'm going to double crochet into the same stitch, chain 1, and drop a loop. So you just insert your hook, drop a loop. So we're doing the exact same thing as we just did, but we're going into the spaces now. So then you're going to yarn over, go into the next space, and double crochet, chain 1, insert your hook, drop a loop. So that's the repeat. So you'll do that all the way around. And when you get to this last spot where we have our stitch marker, you're going to complete this stitch. You'll insert your hook and drop a loop, and then you will slip stitch to this first double crochet. So here's your chain 2, and here's your double crochet, slip stitch to the double crochet, and then find the space, which is here, and you'll slip stitch into that space. So go ahead and repeat these rows as many times as you want for the height of your soap saver. So for the soap saver that I made, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 rows. So if you want it smaller, just do less rows. But repeat that, and I'll meet you at the end to go over what you need to do as far as making a drawstring for your soap saver. Okay, I have my 13 rows crocheted. Should look like this. And I'm at the very end of my row, so I haven't slip stitched. So I can go ahead and take out my stitch marker. You do pull your yarn loop through on that last one, find the very top of the first double crochet and slip stitch, and then go ahead and do a second slip stitch in the very top of the chain 1 next to, and then go ahead and cut your yarn, pull it through, pull it tight, and we're going to go ahead and weave in our end. We're going to go through the inside, and we're just going to go down the stitches. So down through, catching loops on the way down. Go ahead and go back up. Through, and then one more time go down a little bit of a ways just to make sure it's secure, but not at the, you don't want it cut at the very top of your work, because then if it comes undone, then it's going to show. At least if it comes undone and inside, you won't see it. Go ahead and trim off the excess. All right, so now we're going to make the drawstring, and I'm going to do that very similarly to how I started my project, where I'm going to use a long tail end, and I'm going to loop over and crochet through. It's going to create this thicker chain. And we want to make a chain that's about 1 foot long, because you want to have some here to hang it, and you want to be able to have it go through your work. So 10 to 12 inches, I would say. I'm going to do about 12. So I want to make sure I have enough tail to get through that whole cord that I'm gonna make. So I always make it extra long. I know it's kind of a waste of yarn, but that's how I operate. And go ahead and put your yarn tail down here, loop over 2 or 3 times on your finger, take your tail, go over, grab that slip knot and pull through. So you have the 2 loops, yarn over with your yarn tail, pull through, and once you get the hang of it, it doesn't take too long. I just like it because it makes a nice sturdy chain. So I'm going to continue doing that until I get to the desired length, and I'll meet you on what we do next. All right, so I'm done making my chain. So what I'm going to do is going to put a stitch marker in the end because we're not done with it quite yet. We're going to take our work and we're going to go in with the end through each one of these gaps. So you can pull this so you have a lot to work with, but you want to go in and back out through each of the gaps at the top, weaving this chain in as you go. Don't skip any, just do every other one. So, well, not every other one, but you go in and out. So in every other one, out every other one. So you're using every gap, but you're going through. And if you want a longer chain, you can make yours longer, of course. It's totally up to you. You can make it shorter, because when you cinch it up, you're going to have plenty to work with to hang it. We're just going up by the top of the chain here, not down another row. You're doing the top of the all right, so you should go in the one next to where you are coming out of, and do you see where there's this separation? Pull that to the side and come out on the other side of it so that you're not exactly in the same stitch. So then you can test it when you cinch it. This is how much you have to hang. And when you open it all the way, it'll just be like this much. So go ahead and pull your tails so that when you have your bag open, they're even. And this is the fun part, right? Finishing everything off. So what we want to do is we're going to take our stitch marker out, put our hook back in. We're going to go without twisting too much we want to grab the very last stitch here and put our hook through it. Then we're going to take this really short tail, go over, so we should have the tail we just looped over, you should have the stitch that you went through, and then the loop that was originally on your hook. So there should be 4 loops on your hook. Go ahead and yarn over, pull through all 4. Then do a couple stitches. Oh, make sure they're not too loose. Couple stitches where you yarn over with your yarn tail. This just gives it a little bit more secure. We're going to go ahead and cut off our yarn, and we're going to pull through, tighten this down, and then I like to tie a couple knots just to make sure. All right, so that just gives a little extra security there. And if you want to cut this off and you want to hide that end in your work so that it's in here, then you can just pull the opposite end through. It's not as noticeable. So then you're more like this. On this one I had a little extra, so I just made a couple more knots, and I don't mind it showing. But that's how you do the soap saver. It's got a nice, secure, thick bottom, so it's not gonna open up on ya. You can make it smaller if you want. You can do less rows this way. You could make it thinner if you wanted to decrease by 2 stitches at a time. It needs to be even. But that's the soap saver. I hope you enjoyed this pattern, and if you make them, feel free to share with me. I'd love to see your work. Thank you, and have a great day, and take care as always.